You are pissing me off.
You've already pissed me off.
Well, good.
Past tense.
Good. I'm in my reputation era.
Come on.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games.
And
board gaming things.
Exactly. And it's also about the queen herself, Miss Taylor Swift, okay? Because I don't know if anybody knew this. Jeff definitely knew, but Taylor's new album is coming out very, very soon, as in like April 19th. And so yes, Jeffrey.
I didn't know this. You just told me it.
Everybody knew, okay? She announced it at the Grammys, and we all knew, and we've been excited ever since. So in celebration of Taylor Swift's new album, The Tortured Poets Department, we are doing a Taylor Swift-inspired board game list. Yes? Yes. This is Taylor Swift's favorite board games, Taylor's version, Eras Tour edition.
Sure.
We're going on the Eras Tour, okay? So basically what Jeff and I have done is we have each selected a game to go along with every single one of Taylor Swift's albums. Now, as you may be able to figure out, I myself am a massive Swiftie. I love Taylor Swift. I love her so much more than a lot of things. Like a lot of things.
I just want to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Before everyone comes at me being like, oh, Taylor Swift, I don't hate Taylor Swift. She's not my cup of tea.
Jeff,
but I can appreciate.
You listen to Taylor.
I do, but I'm just saying. I appreciate her musical genius.
Obviously.
Before y'all come at me in the comments.
Yeah.
It's just not my cup of tea. I just don't listen to Post Malone. Yeah, cup of tea.
Guess who's on Taylor's new album?
I know. I'll listen to that song.
Post Malone.
For
exactly.
Sure.
So we are going to go through each Taylor album, and as I mentioned, I myself am a hardcore Swiftie. I know not only the songs, but I know the stages of life that Taylor was in during these songs, because Taylor's only a year younger than me. So she and I have grown up together. Yeah.
That's crazy.
She was born in 1989, and I was born in 1988. And Jeff was born in 1987.
There's a song
There's
called?
An album.
Oh.
An album.
Okay.
Anyways, without further ado, let's dive into it. And we're going to start with Taylor's debut album, Taylor Swift. Okay? It's her own name.
Self-titled.
P.S. As an asterisk,
Clever.
We're talking about Taylor's version. And yes, I know that Taylor's version of Taylor Swift hasn't come out yet. But in our hearts, we're only listening to Taylor's version. Okay? Just so
I'm sure all of you know what she's referring to.
They do. My pick for Taylor Swift, her debut album, is going to be Ticket to Ride. And I am picking Ticket to Ride because of a few reasons. Ticket to Ride is also many people's debut into board games. It is the first game that a lot of people play, the first like hobby board game. And also Taylor Swift, the album, was Taylor Swift, the person's ticket to ride into famedom.
Famedom. Fame.
I could have just said fame.
Fandom.
That's but I made up a new word, famedom.
Yeah. You combined fandom and fame.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Taylor would like Ticket to Ride. And I think that she would win a lot. Jeff?
She travels a lot.
She does travel a lot. Exactly. Good point.
My first game for Taylor Swift, based off of the Taylor Swift self-named record album, is Flamme Rouge. Because guess what you got to do when you're racing on a bike? You got to go fast. Mm-hmm. You got to be swift.
You got to be swift.
Taylor Swift.
And that's how this is going to go, because Jeff doesn't know. Okay? But I think that's a great pick, honestly.
I thought it was too.
Because also...
So here's... maybe this is a good time to express to people what my methodology was for this.
Sure.
Jamie would list the album, and I just... Whatever first came to my mind.
That's what he went with.
So when she said Taylor Swift, the first thing I thought of was fast.
Yeah. And Flamme Rouge is great, not in this period of Taylor's life, but rouge, red, her lipstick is red. I know, I'm just saying,
Spoilers.
In the development of Taylor Swift, the color red on her lips.
Rouge is red in French.
Exactly. So there we go.
In case you didn't know.
Now, the second album we have is one of my personal favorites. And that is, I'm going to say that about a lot of them, but that is Fearless. Okay?
I remember when I picked this one.
Fearless came out when I was in like university, and it just gave me all of the feels. Okay?
Sure.
I was fearless, just like Taylor Swift. Now,
would you say Taylor Swift is why you're so fearless now?
Absolutely. Jeff,
okay.
Thank you for asking.
Thanks, Taylor.
Great question.
You're welcome.
Yes. My pick for this one is Trailblazers. And I am going to pick this because Taylor Swift's debut album, she comes onto the country scene. Everyone's like, who's this girl? But then Fearless comes out and people are really like, who is this? And she started blazing that trail into famedom. Okay?
Famedom.
Now, I could have went with a ton of different game options, but I really feel like Fearless was that trailblazer album for Taylor.
All right. It's your list, man. You don't need to explain it.
Do you remember yours?
I do. My pick for Fearless.
Yeah.
This one I struggled with. I think I struggled with this one the most.
You did.
But ultimately, nailed it. My pick for Fearless is a Friedman Freeze classic, Fearsome Floors.
Yes.
Fearless, fearsome.
Kind of the opposite.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
You have
Give
to be
me a hard
fearless to go on those floors.
Give me a hard one next time.
They're very fearsome. Honestly, I think Fearless is probably Friedman Freeze's favorite album.
I'm just going to say, you're not getting a lot out of me because I literally based all of these picks off of the album title, and that's it.
I think that's fair,
There's
Jeff.
no substance to this.
That's fair.
Just pure logic.
Next album we have is Speak Now. Okay? And in this...
I don't know if I remember which one I picked for this one.
You will in a second. So for Speak Now, my pick is Familiar Tales. Now, if anybody doesn't know Familiar Tales, it is essentially like a Disney princess story where the princess goes through some hardships and a band of familiars gather together to bring the princess. It's just like this epic fairy tale. And Speak Now gives fairy tale vibes.
I remember mine now.
Yeah, you probably do. As an example, Enchanted is on the Speak Now album. And there's many other songs that go with this. So Familiar Tales for me is giving me Speak Now vibes because it's like the princess growing up and going through some hardships, just like Taylor had to do.
Mine, not quite as deep. I went two ways with this. I decided on the way I went.
Yeah.
The other one I just want to throw it out to you was, my immediate thought was Speakeasy. Like a speakeasy.
Yep.
And I was like going to pick Distilled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm throwing down? Because speakeasy, it's got like drinks and stuff distilled. But instead, I was like, Speak Now. When in my life would I say that phrase? When I'm training a dog. So I picked Bark Avenue.
Because when you say speak, a dog barks. And
I mean, this stuff's genius.
Here's a fun fact. Taylor Swift has a huge history coming up in her future. That does make sense. With New York. She has a whole song, Jeff. Welcome to New York. New York is a big piece of Taylor Swift's life. She has many songs written around it.
Bark Avenue's in New York.
Yes. It wasn't during this period of her life.
That's why I picked it.
So you're a little bit early,
No,
but it's
fine.
like foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right?
That's why I picked it.
Exactly. The next album is Red.
This one was easy.
Is by far one of my all-time favorite albums. This is the downfall of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Ooh, October Sky. Great movie.
Jeff, don't even.
Great movie.
So, I had a few options for this. And so, I was between, well, number one, I'm going to tell you my two options, but I'll start with the one I didn't pick and the one I picked. My first option was going to be Between Two Castles.
Sure.
Because Red is the first album where Taylor started to lean more into pop, but she's still a country. So she was between pop and country for Red.
Yeah.
However, I ended up going with Isla and Something Shiny because Taylor went through it in this album, okay? And she was just trying to find that shiny piece of happiness, but she had to go through so much Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jamie's very sweary tonight.
I am, because I feel very passionately about this. She had to go through so many ups and downs during this period of her life. It was a very heartbreaking time for Taylor. And it's kind of like I Learned Something Shiny. She's going through all of this stuff, and people are betraying her, and they're doing whatever, and she's just trying to get to the famedom and happiness.
I love that you're sticking with that bit.
Why not?
I love when people stick with a really bad bit. They're just going to go, they're going to sink with the ship.
The Family Guy with the...
Yeah, and they just kept doing it over, or the chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
So the chicken fights.
You remember yours for this?
I do. This one was, okay, you need to sit down, because this is probably the longest explanation of why I picked a game for a Taylor Swift song.
Okay.
I mean album. I picked The Gates of Loyang.
At the Gates of Loyang.
At the Gates of Loyang. And you might be like, what? That's a stretch. The box is red.
It is very red.
Told you.
That was the longest description?
Yep.
Well, there you have it. I'd like to try and make some kind of a connection for you, but I just
That's a tough one.
can't. That's a tough one. It's a tough one, Jeff.
Listen, everyone can't be a genius like me.
Okay. The next album is arguably Taylor's most famous album, her most popular album, Shake It Off.
I know that one.
Welcome to New York.
I don't know. I don't think I know that one.
Style. Blank Space.
Don't know that one. I know that one.
Anyways, this is 1989, okay? And this one has so many games that could go with it. I'm just going to list a few, and then I'll talk about the one that I actually picked.
Yeah, see, this is kind
Jeff,
of BS
I just
to me.
love her, and I need to.
No, this is kind of BS to me. You pick 10. You don't get to pick 10 and then just talk about 20. That's not how a list works.
Okay? So, the first one that I was kind of bumping around in my brain...
No.
What am I trying to say? Bumping around in my brain was Castle Party. This era of Taylor Swift's life was like socialite, having parties, all the model friends. She was cool with Kanye at this point. We all know how that ends up, okay?
What happened?
Jeff?
I'm just kidding. I know that one.
Don't even. Okay.
I know that one.
So Castle Party was a big one. High Society was another one. I also laid out Obsession because this is when people truly started to become obsessed with Taylor Swift. But what I am going to go with is a game called Sweet and Spicy. Okay? Because this is the era of Taylor Swift where she started to not really care and started to make fun of herself, right? So it's like Blank Space. Well, everybody's going to say that I'm dating everybody. Well, then I'm going to make a song about it and how I'm going to date you and I'm going to write you off and all of these things. So she's still sweet because she's Taylor Swift. But she was getting a little bit spicy in the 1989 era, let me tell you.
Yep. I could not think about things that happened in the 80s.
We were born.
I was born in 87. If there was a game called Jeff, I would have picked that one.
Might be.
Might be one out there.
Might be Jeff.
But I was like, what happened in the 80s? Like, what was cool in the 80s? You know, D&D.
Yep.
But I didn't pick that.
Nope.
But then I saw a little game called Age of Comics. And I was like, I feel like 70s and 80s comics were banging. And so I had to go with Age of Comics because you're basically building out comics. And that's what people did in the 80s. Everyone in the 80s, every single person in the 80s.
Every single person.
Was involved in comics somehow.
Yep. It's funny though, because this game I believe is set in the 40s or 50s.
Probably. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Taylor
That's
would
not
love
what we're
this
here
game.
about.
Taylor would love this game, Jeff. I think it's a great pick.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay. Another one of my favorites.
Sure.
We got Reputation. All right? Big Reputation.
Oh, I know what I picked for this
Big
one.
Reputation. Ooh, You Owe Me would be a
I know
big
that song.
conversation. A lot of great songs from
Heard
this
about
one.
me.
Ooh, I got some big enemies. You know? Jeff knows.
I know.
Reputation was obviously... So after 1989... That's when all the Kanye drama happened and everything fell apart for Taylor. She went into hiding for like 2 years. Nobody saw her. Nobody heard from her. And then suddenly she comes back.
I remember that.
And she comes back with a vengeance. Exactly. And that was Reputation. She comes back with also a British boyfriend. Okay? Just saying it. Joe. This is the Joe era when Joe begins.
Sure.
So.
What's your pick?
I have so many.
No.
Jeff?
Jamie, come on.
So
It defeats the purpose of a list.
It's fine, Jeff, because the people are here for Taylor. It doesn't matter. So I had some obvious choices. The Bloody Inn, Villainous.
How's that obvious?
It just is. In Vino Morte.
Oh, that's all death stuff.
Exactly. So there were two,
Did she kill someone?
No. There were two in particular.
Spicy.
Empire's End.
Sweet and spicy.
Because Reputation, a lot of the songs are about how her empire fell. Everything crashed down.
Oh, that's a good
everything
pick.
got destroyed.
That's a good pick, Jamie.
She came out on top.
I'm proud of you. That's a good one.
Thank you. And then the other pick that it was kind of tied is That Time You Killed Me.
You didn't pick Empire's End, though?
No, that's what I'm picking. But the second one that was closest was That Time You Killed Me, because
that is a good one, too.
Is also a good one. There's so many good games that could go with Reputation. But Empire's End, everything is crumbling and crashing and burning, and she stands on top. She came through the ashes.
It's not as good as mine.
What is yours? I don't remember.
Jamie, what about Ashes Reborn?
No.
That would have been a perfect one. My pick is I really want you to hone in on Reputation. What's a game you play that you're like, all you care about is that people think you're cool? People want to hang out with you.
Yep.
They want to come to your...
Yep.
They want to hang out on your garden. They're in your garden. They want a lawn
100%.
bowl with you.
Sure do.
It's already been mentioned in passing. And that is Obsession. Because guess what, people? In Obsession, all you care about is your reputation.
Your big reputation.
You don't want gossips around.
No.
Get rid of them.
Taylor was done with gossips by this
saying?
point in her life. She was done with them.
Obsession.
Okay?
Perfect pick.
Great pick.
I'm killing this list.
The next one we have is Lover. Now, this is the full-blown Joe Alwyn era. She's in love. She's writing love songs and all of these things. And a big part of this is that Joe is British. And so the game...
Middle class Joe?
No. And so Joe, do you have something to tell us? And so the game that I picked is London. Because there's a song called London Boy. She spent so much time in England. She was in love with someone from London. Yeah. Everything has that London vibes.
Great
okay? Pick. This was Joe and Taylor. Actually, we're very Lover-esque right now because it was pastels were the color scheme for
This wasn't intentional.
Well, worked. But that is my pick for Lover, yes.
This is my weakest pick. This was my weakest pick. I almost picked Fog of Love. I was trying to think of love games. Sure. And all that was coming to my brain was Fog of Love. Yeah. That was the only thing I could think of.
Would have been a good pick.
But I didn't pick it.
Because she was in a fog of love.
I didn't pick it because it felt too obvious.
Did not pick it.
And if Taylor's anything, she's not obvious. So I picked T for two. Because do you know what lovers do? They go for tea. I didn't know about all the English stuff.
Yeah, tea is great
and
in England.
Tea is a big English
thing.
Pick,
Jeff. Yeah. And Taylor loves tea.
Taylor loves tea. See, I don't even need to know anything. Taylor and I are just on the same wavelength. I don't need to listen or understand anything. I just know Taylor. Next
up, we have Folklore. Folklore is the first of Taylor's kind of like twin album, Folklore and Evermore, which she wrote during the pandemic, which I almost picked.
Pandemic,
because she wrote it during pandemic. But for this one, I ended up picking Vivid Memories. So I don't know if you, never mind. Jeff doesn't know this. I'm like, I don't know if you know this. Folklore and Evermore are written not about her life, so she says, but they're stories that she's written and that she's telling as if they are vivid memories. Like there's a song about
as if they're folklore?
Her grandmother and like being in school and falling in love and going through that whole process and
folklore?
Like folklore, exactly. So Vivid Memories is what I am picking because the way that the songs are sung and written, that's what it feels like. It feels like vivid memories.
I immediately, when I thought of folklore, I went to two things. Road to Canterbury. Because I just think Canterbury, like, it just seems folklore.
Sure.
But it was too religious. So instead, I went with Robin Hood. The Adventures of Robin Hood.
I think that's a great pick.
Because it's a folklore story.
Jeff doesn't even know why, but it just is a great pick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, as I mentioned, the twin albums, we have Evermore. Okay?
This was an easy one for me.
Evermore is, of the two, my favorite. I really, really, really love this album, and I had so many to choose from. But I'm actually going to end up going with...
Are you picking right now?
Yeah. I am going to go with Septima. So and the reason is, there is a song called Willow, and during the Eras tour, it's a very like witchy kind of like theme and dance and all of this stuff. And there's also, Taylor has re-recorded Willow in a bunch of different like remixes and themes. And one of them is very witchy, and there's actually quite a few of them. And Evermore does give me kind of like witchy vibes. And so I'm going with Septima because I think it's a great pick, personally. And Jeff is going with?
Oh, this one's easy. I went with Everdell.
Yeah. Because they both start with Ever.
Because they both start with Ever.
Good job, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Midnights, which is Taylor's newest album that came out. And this album is a little bit sneaky. And I'm going to tell you why. Because as she's on tour with this album, her and Joe are suddenly not together anymore. And everybody thought, oh, this album's a love story. But it's not, Jeff. It's a breakup album.
Ooh, spicy.
Very spicy.
Sweet and spicy.
And there's some songs in there that you're just like, woo, girl. So I had obviously a big list for this one as well. Cross Clues was one. Because like, here's the thing about Midnights is Taylor's leaving so many Easter eggs in this album. Sure. There's Easter eggs everywhere. There's clues everywhere.
I heard
you got to listen. You got to. She's very known for that. Yeah. Very known. But I think I also, on the roster, was The Great Split. Because Taylor and Joe were together for like 6 years. Sure. And we all thought they were endgame. Until Travis Kelce came along, am I right?
Yeah, I know him.
Now they're endgame.
I know him.
So I ended up going with...
Do you think they're endgame? What's your prediction?
God, I hope so. I just love them together so much. I ended up going with Inside Job. Because this album fooled us. Because we thought that this was...
You thought it was one thing, but it wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, it's an inside job because there's so many clues and there's things and you've got to see, and you're like, what is going on? Because there's even a song on the album that she wrote with Joe. And we were all like, oh, everything's happy and they're whatever. But they're not. And then we got You're Losing Me. And it's like, what is happening? Anyways, it threw me for a loop and it felt like an inside job. Easter eggs everywhere. Inside Job's a hidden traitor game, by the way.
I was trying to think of like, I was staring off into the distance for a long time.
No kidding.
I was trying to think of like, I think Deception would have been good.
I was going to put Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, but I was like, Hong Kong?
And Murder. I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Well, yeah.
She murdered his heart.
Or he murdered hers. One of them. One of those things is
mine
true.
Was my pick.
Mm-hmm.
I really got into the darkness.
Yeah, of midnight.
Because midnight is dark. It's dark time.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you sleep.
Yeah.
It's dark time.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at on the planet, I guess. Sometimes people don't get dark.
That's true.
Like in the North Pole and stuff.
Santa.
I picked Stifling Dark.
Because
that's what happens at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
You get stifled by the
Good
darkness.
job, Jeff. Good job, Jeff.
I don't need to...
I honestly thought Jeff was going to pick Hickory Dickory because it's a clock.
That's not a bad one.
And Midnights is all about the clock.
That's not bad. Yeah. What clock, though? I didn't know that.
Jeff, midnight.
Well, I know midnight's a time.
And the whole album, if you get all 4 versions...
See, I don't know that.
It turns into a clock.
I don't know that. I would never know that. How would I know that?
Anyways, nothing good happens after midnight. That's the point. Now, last but not least, we have picked a game for Taylor's upcoming album, The Tortured Poets Department, which I can't, like, I'm always excited for a Taylor album, but this one I am so beyond. It's going to be incredible. Can you
tell me why?
It's because, Jeff, it's going to be incredible. It's going to tell us many stories.
What if it's
There's
not?
things that are like, she's put the song names out, and there's one that's like Goodbye to London.
What if it's
not? It's going to be like the most epic.
But what if it's not?
Heartbreak album ever. Jeff, it's not possible.
I'm going to keep asking.
She only makes good things.
Always be making bangers?
Yes, exactly.
Always making bangers.
Always making, I have an itchy
A&B.
ear. A&B. Okay, so once again, I had many ideas for this. Shades of Ink was one.
Taste of Ink.
Black Sonata was an obvious one because of
Taste of Ink's
Shakespeare.
a great song.
Mm-hmm. Too Many Bones was another one because that's why she's so sad. There's just dead everywhere. Death. Bones. But I actually think I'm going to go with Phantom Ink. Right? Because, I don't know, not only like the name of the game, but the vibe of the game is very like, it's kind of dark, moody.
Dark poet society type stuff.
Exactly. And you're trying to figure it out, right? And so I just thought,
I get what you're throwing down.
This could be, obviously I haven't heard the album yet, but this will be my pick, Phantom Ink.
This is my favorite pick.
Yeah.
This is the perfect pinnacle to this list.
Yes.
My pick for, what is it, Dead Poet Society? No, that's a movie.
Tortured Poets Department.
That's a movie.
Yeah.
My pick is what is it? Ghost Cat Taco Go to the Pizza Delivery Town thing.
Pizza deliverers
go to the ghost town.
And they deliver taco, cat, goat cheese, and pizza.
And you might be like, what? And that's mine because the album name is so freaking long. It's ridiculous.
Very long.
So I was like, what's the longest board game name I can think of?
And honestly, Jeff...
And it's the Taco Cat Goes to the Ghost Town to deliver pizzas.
Exactly. And the thing about that, Jeff, and why it's such a good pick, though, honestly, is because it's hidden movement. And we don't know what Taylor's about to do.
That means nothing.
Okay? We don't
know. I picked
what
it based
she's
on
doing.
name length.
But I'm just saying that's why it's a good pick. Seriously? Seriously? I'm going to start again. That is the Board Game Eras Tour, Taylor's version, in honor of Taylor's new album, which we are all very
Taylor.
Excited for. Taylor, if you're watching this...
She's gonna. We should send this to her. We should send this to her publicist.
Jeff, I would literally...
Imagine if she...
I would die.
If she commented on it.
I would die.
How cool would that be,
I would
Taylor?
die. Here's the thing.
You want to make a little girl's dream come true?
Do you know what we didn't mention?
Was that drool?
No, maybe. We didn't mention any cat games. So just shout out to Calico. Shout out to Boop.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to all the cat games out there because Taylor loves cats and has 3. Okay. But that is everything that we have for today. Love to know down below, what are your choices for the Eras Tour for board games? I need to know your picks, okay? But now, if you're interested in buying board games, like any of the many that we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is...
The Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yes, it is. Do you like snacks?
I do.
Where people get snacks?
Munchpad.
That's correct. And if you like what you see...
Please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye!
Later days.
Stop it. I don't like that.
Don't like what?
I don't like that.
What?
What you're doing. I don't like it. And Taylor Swift wouldn't like it either. Put mine up at you.
Jamie hates.
I don't like it. The camera's not straight. I think it needs to go more towards me.
It's crooked.
That's what I just said. Hence, not straight. Please stop.
I'm not doing anything.
Is that straight?
Yeah, it's fine. My eyebrows lately
It's not getting any better, Jeff.
are f***ing unreal.
Your eyebrows aren't getting any better. My hair is not getting any better.
I need to figure out a way to trim these bad boys, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're brutal.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
and
mediocre musicians.
Jeff, don't you f***ing dare. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Foster... What?
What was that?
What was that?
What was that?
My nails match my sweater a little. Taylor would like that. Ready, Jeffy?
Get serious.
My God. Shh. Look at your long sideburns.
I know. I need
Ridiculous. Okay, so
I like the one that she did with Bon Iver.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good song.
Yep. So
I think it's my favorite.
Maybe.
Exile.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know my
there you
stuff,
go.
man.
Okay. I have a really itchy ear.
I've noticed you've been digging in that bad boy the whole movie.
That means somebody's talking about me.
No, that's your nose, Jamie.
No, that means somebody's thinking about you.
No.
It's different.